All right. So, all right.
We're rolling.
Oh, tell Hunter I said hi.
That's what Maddox said?
Yep.
That's a good man.
All right. I'm going to ask you some questions. How about we start like that? Good?
Yeah. You know what sucks? It doesn't suck, but you know what's... I don't even know if it's one of the hardest things, but I guess it could be perceived as hard about this industry is some of the sacrifices that you have to make. So, one of the kids I grew up with, this was on the 15th, I think?
Mm-hmm.
The 18th. Killed himself.
Mm.
And I think I actually mentioned him by name in the book. And his funeral is Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. And so my little brother's dad, who for all intents and purposes is one of I call him dad.
Right.
And he called me today and he said that Sally and Gary Ronsman, which are the parents of one of our other childhood friends, Josh, saw him at church and and they asked if I was coming. And he's like, I don't think so. He's meeting with a new team that day, and he's taking over a different store and all those things. And he's exactly right.
It's hard.
So it's one of those things where it's like I can't, and I think that if that's just one thing to be aware of, if you're considering a career in this industry, not intense and not, and I don't say that as a cautionary tale, like, oh, you better consider this before going all in on it. I'm just saying, like, this is probably something that you're going to run into at some point in time, especially if you're a high performer.
If you're a high performer, I think a lot of people going, like management positions and above, forget that QSR is not just the hours of operation that are listed on the door.
Mm-hmm.
They are 24/7.
Yeah.
And the higher you get in a position, especially if like servant leader kind of, people, yeah, that can happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good that you brought that up because it ties really right into my question.
Which is?
My question is, how do servant leaders ensure they're not being taken advantage of? These are pregnant pauses, people. Because I didn't give him a heads up beforehand that I was going to ask that question.
I would say true servant leaders aren't concerned whether they're getting taken advantage of.
So I disagree a little bit.
Okay.
And the reason I do is because it's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you've got to set clear lines.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got, I think, kindness without limits, boundaries, or those kind of things, just ask for abuse. And it took me a long, 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 long time in this industry wanting to be a servant leader because to me, power isn't leadership. Service is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a long time to know how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a trap that a lot of people in the QSR industry, high performers, wanting to their stores, their territories, their whatever, to be well and recognized. Can't say no.
So I think that we're just answering the question on two different levels of analysis. Okay. So I agree with you on setting expectations. To me, I guess that was something that's already been accounted for prior to, like, that's a prerequisite.
Right.
So it's like, and maybe that's ignorance on my part in terms of leaders in this industry, because a leader and somebody that I consider is doing a good job as a leader in this industry, I've already had those things covered. Like, it's kind of like brushing your teeth. You don't even think about that. That's something you do.
Okay.
Like day one. It's okay. Here are the expectations, right? Here's this, that, and the other thing. Okay, so when I'm off, I'm off unless the building's burning down, because I want it to be your problem to figure out. And then when you come back to me, then we can talk about what you did, right?
Mhm.
So, like, that sort of thing, I think, should have already been laid down. The part where I was coming at it from was sort of in the situation that I'm in currently.
Right.
And that's why I was answering the question the way that I did. So it's like, okay, well, if we keep moving him from location to location, keeps turning around, then am I being taken advantage of? If I'm adopting the principles that you write in your manuscript in an upcoming book, it's like, then I'm really not worried about that.
Okay.
I'm just more worried about doing a good job. Right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense? I think we're just answering in a different level
Yeah,
of
we're
analysis.
coming from two different
Yeah.
sides. Yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
I agree, but
Because yes, you do have to learn how to say no as a leader, because if you're constantly always the first out for people, then you are completely stifling their not only short-term but long-term success.
Yep.
Because, I mean, they're bottlenecking their own potential if they always have a way out. And you've got to let your people suffer a little bit. You have to know, and I think that's what the good leaders do really well, is they know the proper amount of suffering in order to create the adaptation that they want.
Mhm.
It's no different than training, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, what's the minimal effective dose on
Right.
these set of squats, benches, whatever the case may be, that I can get a train effect out of it? A train effect. I mean, we talk about training in our industry. So what is the proper amount of suffering that I can let my people endure so we get the adaptation that we want? I think I didn't talk about that, right? The SAID principle, specific adaptations for imposed demands, is a strength and conditioning term. So it's like, okay, well, I think the best leaders have that innate, uncanny, intangible ability to be able to discern that. And I think Christians have a supernatural edge because we don't listen to ourselves, right? Our foolishness, or our wisdom, what is it? God's foolishness is wiser than our wisdom.
Oh, right.
Which is why I'm constantly in prayer, like, Lord, help me out here, dude, because I don't know how the hell, should I go in? Should I not? How do I?
You're right.
Yeah.
So the one of the most powerful prayers I ever heard shocked me, because I think sometimes, that people pray that they think they have to be so eloquent and and expand and expound and all of this stuff. The most powerful prayer I ever heard was a pastor got up to the pulpit, the routine where they're going to pray before they preach, and he just went, "Jesus, help, amen."
Yeah.
That was the most powerful prayer I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and what's really interesting about that is I think that coincides with Romans 8:26, which is we don't know what to pray for.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spirit intercedes for us.
Yeah.
It's like we have no idea what to pray for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So in you talked about pain. How do you know when, and muscle growth and those kinds of things, but how do you know when you as the leader need to step in? When they've had too much pain. Like you said, okay, we're going to let them fail.
Mm-hmm.
Basically is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah.
We're going to let them fail so they can succeed.
Yep. Or let them struggle.
Right.
It's like, it's not that they can't, it's just that they're having trouble.
Okay, let them struggle.
You know what I mean?
Say it, right.
Yeah.
Just like.
Well, no, because that distinction is real. Because there is a difference between letting your people suffer and then just letting them fall flat on their face.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you know when enough is enough? How do you know when to
empathy?
every situation is different, right?
Empathy.
Okay.
Empathy. It's like, okay, well, you know exactly where this person has been or is right now. How would you feel if you were them? Would you, like, and sometimes, like, for example, yesterday, and I don't say this to let my right hand know what my left is doing. I'm just trying to answer the question as best I can to give a good example for you. And that's like one of the managers at a store that I'll be overseeing here shortly texted me yesterday and said that the midship manager didn't show up and she was looking for coverage. And because if we didn't find coverage, then she was going to be working an 18-hour day.
Right.
And I've never worked an 18-hour day. I've worked a 13-hour day. It's like,
You haven't worked any?
I have not worked an 18-hour day. I've worked a 13-hour day. That's my longest. But it's like, I've never been there. I don't want her to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we did what we had to do.
Right.
To get her out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you go and cover.
Mm-hmm.
So you're covering, which was, I mean, I guess I would say that's the right call. I'm I want to play the other side of the fence here. So, and you are let's say you're the regional manager,
Mm-hmm.
and you made the call to go in and cover that shift,
Mm-hmm.
and you're covering that shift,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got a store that's 25 miles away that's burning down,
Mm-hmm.
and your presence is required at that store,
Mm-hmm.
and you're at this store literally
Mm-hmm.
filling in a shift,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Oh, you got to go to the fire.
Yeah.
You got to go to the fire.
So then you leave the 99 for the one.
I guess in a way, you shut down the operations at that store to go.
I mean, this has happened to me on many occasions,
Yeah.
and because
There is no decision to be made. You have to go to the burning building.
yeah.
There is no decision.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Just like I felt like yesterday, there was no decision. There was no decision. And I thought, well, since I'm going to be overseeing this store in 72 hours, I think this could buy me some relationship equity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it'd be, first of all, just good to get in there. It's like, so when I played football in college, I actually started at St. Cloud State. A lot of people don't know that. I was at St. Cloud State before I went to Grand Valley.
It's in the book.
And the summer before the fall of 2009, my buddy Kyle and I, who had both committed there, they had something called an APP program, an advanced placement program.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good, loophole for incoming freshmen. Because it actually wasn't designed for us. It was designed for people of color, since St. Cloud if you're white at St. Cloud, you are the minority. And so it was a program put in place for people of color.
Is that an HBC?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was put in place for people of color to get acclimated to college.
Okay.
And so you go there, you take 2 classes, which is what Kyle and I took. And then after class is over, then we went and trained with the guys. And so we got to know the team before the rest of the incoming freshmen did, got to get our feet underneath us, and we're not totally in culture shock with day one camp hits like every other freshman. So that's so I liken what happened last night sort of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can get in there and like, oh, okay, yep, here's where everything is. And now it's not totally foreign to me when I come in here a few days from now.
And you are not totally foreign to your team.
No. And you get to meet new people, and it was fun. So it's just like, and you get to relieve somebody out of a 18-hour day. So it's like, to me, there was no decision. No decision.
Another question.
Okay.
I did prepare a tiny bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, the question thing is still kind of new.
Right. Talk about belittling and how it is the antithesis of servant leadership. So I've talked about this before, and I've told you this story before, and I think I've told it on the channel before. I've written about it.
The franchisees down talking to employees.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, you're
and
you're not a servant leader, because if you're doing that, then you're talking about your people as if they are your servants,
Mhm.
and you're their servant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the roles of a good leader, be it, whatever the position is, be it a shift leader, be it a assistant manager, be it a store manager, be it is you're there to build the people, their skill, their courage, and their voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not, and to me, nothing kills trust faster than belittling.
Mm.
Even if it is not in the presence of the individual that's being belittled. I think, what do Australians call it? Minging, like just, and and you and I have had conversations about this where you were around the corner from people that were belittling you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah, I know.
On the other side of the
Literally.
partition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
literally. And I think belittling by a leader shows fear, not strength.
Mm-hmm.
I think service is what shows real authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about that. Obviously, been thinking about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that real leaders never belittle their team, even if they have members of their team that suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that's been on my heart a lot. Is that watching employees or watching managers, leaders, team members belittle their employees.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it in the last week. I've seen it in the last week as a customer. And it really, I guess that's something that's been, you call yourself a manager, you call yourself a leader of this team, you call yourself a leader of this area. And, you're belittling your team. That bothers me.
Well, there's definitely a distinction between manager and leader, and there are a lot of the former and not very few of the latter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and so
that's why this industry is starving for leaders. It's because it has too many, and I mean this technically, managers.
Right.
And maybe that's the problem. Is maybe we just need to change the name from restaurant manager to restaurant leader.
Right.
And then maybe that would change the type of applicant that we get. Maybe that would change the appeal of the position itself for internal promotions.
And would it change the mindset?
Case in point.
Yeah.
Last night, I was talking to two people who helped that notoriously slow store run a green dinner, and I was just talking to them. I was just like, "Okay, so and so, like, how long have you been with us? Okay, and you're already a team trainer. So and so, how long have you been with us? Really? Well, have you ever thought about being a manager? Oh no, why not? I see what you guys go through."
Yeah. That brings up another interesting point, is that people that...
Because then the conversation immediately it has to shift from changing the perception of what a manager is, and then also just changing the entire title. Because the way I take it, every time that goes there, is just like, well, that's leadership. Then, I mean,
So if you change the name to leadership, it also changes the thought process of the person that's doing the hiring. I'm not trying to hire a manager. I'm trying to hire a leader.
Yeah, I think you can have managers. I think you need managers.
You need both.
They're called your shift leads.
Right. You need both.
You need people to be able to lead the shift. And that's a shift lead by definition.
But now you're going back to empowerment.
What do you mean?
You said you need people to lead the shift. We talked about that, I think, in the last one or before, where we said, I am empowering you to be in charge of the shift.
Yeah, unless I'm the only manager in the building, I'm not leading the shift. That's what the shift lead is for.
Right.
That's literally their job. And
Right.
then they tell me what to do, servant leader. Literally, they are in charge of the shift. They are the MIC, the manager in charge. Now, a situation like last night when I'm the only manager in there, then I am running the ship.
So then you're the MIC.
Yep.
So
the lowest tenured, or I guess if in terms of the lowest person on the hierarchical structure on the manager side of things, is who runs the shift. So if it's myself, my assistant manager, and another shift lead, the shift lead runs the shift.
And
if it's myself and my AGM, the AGM runs the shift.
But go back to the three.
Myself, an AGM, and a shift lead.
And a shift lead.
Yeah.
And the shift lead is the MIC, right?
Yep.
And so the MIC is in charge of the total operation. So they're in charge of deployment, all of that, correct?
Deployment, prep guide.
Okay.
Yep.
So then you need to foster an attitude in the AGM, the assistant manager, that guy's your boss right now. That guy is going to tell you what to do. You're going to accept it and you're going to do it. That guy's going to tell me what to do. Even though I am 2 rungs above him, I'm going to serve him.
Yep. I have a great AGM at Zealand. I mean, he gets it. He gets it. He knows the game. It's like, okay, yeah. Tyler's in charge tonight. Like, he tells us what to do.
So how do you evaluate a person who has a hard time accepting that, especially in this industry, where a lot of times, I think about this a lot, people, I can't wait to be a manager so I can have all the glory and all the benefits of being a manager. And then they get that promotion to shift lead, assistant manager, whatever. And like, holy crap, I never realized how much stuff you had to do.
You see more of that with people who think they can open or close.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing $1. Because we pay more for openers and closers than we do regular days, mids, things like that, nights. So it's like, if you can close or open, well then you instantly have more value than somebody who doesn't. So
which they do.
Yeah, they do. They chase that number, and then they start getting into it. And it's like, oh wow, 6 a.m. is early. Oh wow, getting out at 4 a.m. sucks. Like, if that's the way you frame it in your head, then yeah, sure, you're not going to last very long. And sometimes it does suck. But since when does doing hard things prevent us from doing hard things? I don't understand that. But I mean, so because then you're just a victim for the rest of your life if you're afraid to do things that are hard. So, but I say all that to say, you see more of that when in the new hire process for openings and closings than you do the particular situation that you were talking about, and mainly because I think I do a decent job protecting people from BS. Only because I've dealt with a lot of the BS. And so...
Well, that's one of the clear attributes of a servant leader.
So that's... And I think that goes back to the SAID principle. It's like, yeah, you'll be okay with this one here. Don't worry about it. There's way worse stuff out there that I've already cleared the path for you. You're never going to get down that road anyways. So it's, there were certain things with one of my managers who was just having some difficulties in the morning when she opened one morning. And she was just like, Hunter, I just wasn't trained on how to handle this particular problem. And I just looked at her and I said, so and so, like, you think I know what I'm doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. I just run the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can tell you that particular problem that you just don't sweat it. Like,
Right.
you came in here and you came in here. What'd you do? You opened the store, and then you ran a green shift. That stuff, that I mean, it should not be bothering you as much as it is. It's because I can just tell you that this, and this is what could have happened, and it didn't. And it's like,
How do you?
so things like that, because there's so many things that you just can't train. And then,
So
and then when they happen, sometimes people get in their feelings and like, well, I wasn't trained for how to handle this particular situation. It's like, I wasn't trained how to handle yesterday.
How do you train how can you train people to know what not to sweat? Like you're kind of talking about don't sweat the small stuff a little bit, but or is it just instinctual?
I think it's part perception, which again is why I'm such an advocate of training, doing things that are hard physically. Because then when these things happen, you're like, okay, well, I've already dealt with something way harder than this morning before I even got in here. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so there's that piece of it. But then the other piece of it is, what was the other part of your question? What was the other part of your question?
How do you train people not to
Oh,
sweat the small stuff?
yeah.
Is it just instinctual?
I think it's more instinctual. No, I mean, there's some stuff that there's certainly instinctual. I'm trying to think of an example, but if you just know what the priority is, then everything else falls short of that. So if a drawer is short $3 when you open the store, but customers are already coming through the drive-through line at 7 a.m., it's like, okay, do that, focus on that. Like, we'll figure out the cash. There's plenty of ways that we can investigate the cash situation on the back end.
Right.
Serve the customer, run a green shift. Hell of a job. We'll fix this later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just knowing what the priority is. And for us, it's speed, throughput. My stores know that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some times where Lupe and I had a conversation. Lupe is one of my AGMs. And we had a conversation that another shift lead from one of my other stores came to work at my home store. And he wasn't particularly impressed with a certain facet of the business. And I was sort of relaying this information back and forth between the two stores. And then Lupe and I got in a conversation. Lupe just reminded me of what the priority was. I'm like, you're right. Heard. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So this facet of the business wasn't completely up to snuff for this manager's liking. But the priority is that we run green shifts. And that's all we do. And that's what we're known for. And then because we full bonus, we go perfect, and that's what we do. So it's like, does that make sense?
No.
Because if they're like, again, use the store that I went to last night as a perfect example. They do so many things at such an exceptionally high level. I can see that coming if you come to a different store where some of those things aren't happening. Whether it's quite literally putting, if there's 6 items in a bag, they put 6 napkins in the bag, right? Like not just like a handful, right? Or just kind of eyeball and like, oh, this is more than enough, sort of thing. Like that's the level of attention that they have at this particular store yesterday. So if they come, so I can imagine something like that taking a person off when they come over to another one of my stores that just throws a handful in the bag. But store B is running a green as fuck shift. And then store A is like, well, we've been red all day. So it's like, you know what I mean? As far as what's the priority sort of thing. And to me, it's always going to be speed. I'm just going to always prioritize speed. So that's what is like a type of situation I was talking about there. And so then I was talking to Lupe about it. It's like yeah, but the priority is speed. I'm like, okay, yep, heard, got it.
Mm-hmm. So,
but then the question that somebody might have is then, okay, well, why isn't that process streamlined? Why is it only one store doing 6 napkins per bag as opposed to, the others? And why isn't that just like as being onboarded during the training process? That's a good question. It's certainly an opportunity.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think through it. Obviously, how can this correlate to all QSR industry, not just the specific brand that you're working in or the specific brand that I'm really familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously the six napkin thing that correlates to waste, food cost,
Mm-hmm.
paper cost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's more about it brings it back to everything about customer service. Then speed is customer service.
Yeah, are you really going to have a paper cost problem if your throughput is so freaking fast that you've got 500 transactions in a single day?
Exactly. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a little bit of math in my head here
Mm-hmm.
and thinking it through, and that because we're a quick service restaurant, our profits are based upon volume. Granted, our profit margins are very, very small, very short. That every napkin does add up. But if I can wait on 15 customers versus 5 because my employees are counting 6 napkins in every bag, and I can wait on 15 customers, are my profits the same or are my profits better?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm doing the mental gymnastics in my head,
Mm-hmm.
because knowing that we have such tight margins. And I think you're right in that the more people that I can get weight on
Mm-hmm.
is the better,
Mm-hmm.
versus the paper cost.
How do you feed a whale?
How do you feed a whale?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feed a whale?
With thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of krill.
Yeah.
Like one krill ain't gonna do it.
Right. Right.
Volume.
Right.
Speed.
And QSR is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only way that you can make profit in QSR industry is volume. And you as a franchisee need to know what that BE is, the break even is to,
Mm-hmm.
like if this store is only servicing X amount of customers, X amount of cars, however you want to quantify it,
Mm-hmm.
they're never going to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the tendency then of a lot of franchisees then is to, we're only servicing X. So for me to be profitable is then to buckle down on waste and labor and all of the cut.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, you're never going to cut your way to profitability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll never, ever, ever cut your way to profitability.
Yeah.
So then it's about speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's about getting getting more customers in the door. How do I get more customers in the door? Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I got in there and I got in and out with a smile, because I think sometimes that when we focus on speed, the service goes out the window.
Yep. Yep. We were talking about that last night. Loops are complaints, and there you do see a linear relationship. When speed increases, so does the amount of loops you get.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then how do you battle that?
I think I'm actually really impressed with the current company that I'm with taking off a certain speed objective in terms of our daily metrics.
Okay.
So I think that allows you to I think it allows you to focus more when you need to focus on that particular aspect of it.
You can be, and I think this is a fault of QSR
Mhm.
sometimes
Mhm.
in the mindset, especially when you get into a leadership position, upper leadership position, regional leadership position, is that you can be fast and friendly at the same time.
Yeah, you can be fast and friendly at the same time. And one thing that's actually here's a tactical thing. One thing that actually would help with that is actually going through the entire script if you're the order taker on the drive-through. So an entire script is kind of long,
Right.
and sometimes you need to have the social agility to know when a customer just isn't having it.
Right.
They don't want to be continuing answering questions. Okay. But if there's somebody who's jobbing with you, then you want to lean into that because you're not only delivering a great service, but you're giving your food champions more time to make the food so that their order is ready before they even pull up to the window, rather than hurrying them up to the window and then they're waiting. Right. So if you take the full, if you do take the time to go through the full script, you're delivering a great customer service when you do that, and you're giving your food champions more time to make the food, so that when they actually get up to the window, it's ready to go.
But you have to teach your people when to drop the script.
Mm-hmm.
Because and you know this, but for the longest time, that was always the joke. The scripts were the joke for customers, to the point that a customer would come in and say, pull up to the drive-through, say, I want this hamburger and a medium drink. That's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would still continue. Do you want fries with that? I mean, that was always the joke. You want fries with that? That was when I first got in the industry and ongoing, that was a joke because that was a McDonald's script.
Mm-hmm.
The upselling. I'm not saying upselling isn't important.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you train your people to, this is a script, but here's your wiggle room.
Yeah. How do you train people to do that?
How do you train? And we talked about this a lot one time. We went through a training and course and survey, is that perception of the customer. How do you train people to read the customer? This customer, I'm going to have some dialogue with. This customer wants to get in and out. That's a hard thing to train, I think.
I think it starts with modeling. But that'd be tough because if you're the RGM and so you're on the top of the hierarchy, so to speak, and you're trying to train a manager on how to deal with those particular scenarios, well, if you're following the correct deployment, you shouldn't be on the mic.
Right.
The other manager is, and so there'll be some of it. Some of it will be modeling when you can, but then also just again paying attention so that when it does happen, you can catch them and coach them in the moment. So where like if somebody gets pissed off or gets short with one of my people, and be like, do you understand what that was? Okay, this time I might use this strategy or this approach with that particular type of person. It's okay to drop it here, just get them through, right? But a lot of it comes down to authenticity, and I think that there's such a script laden mindset that it turns people into robots,
Right.
and I think that over time begins to erode a person's authenticity, and then they start having like a general malaise and disdain for the job, and then they start hating to talk to customers.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if we can just empower people to just be themselves, especially at the order taker position, then they'd have way more enjoyment.
I think every new employee has to be trained the script, but they can't be
programmed.
Right. And so what I think ends up happening is that when I walk into a store, if I'm evaluating your store, and I walk into your store, and the script is you say A, then B, then C, then D. And wait, they didn't use the right words when they said A to me. And then when they said B, B and C got mixed out of order. And so I'm going to come down on the leader of that store.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong approach.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to be trained the script. But then it's like, if I say, I want you to say, hello, welcome to,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't say, hello, welcome to, boom,
Mm-hmm.
but they said, hey, how you doing? I'll be right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah. At least we got a green out of them.
Right. But I think that some people get so stuck in the mud about, you must say ABC,
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's very important to train the script.
Mm-hmm.
You have to train the script. But you can't be so dogmatic about it that when you're doing their evaluation, you got to see,
Yeah, I mean, there was one of our.
But you train the script with the why.
Yeah, so during my time at Grand Valley, we'd have special teams meetings on Sundays, the days after the game, and our old line coach was in charge of the field goal extra point team. And so we would sit there and we would watch every special team. So punt return, kickoff, kick return, extra point, field goal. And when Coach Morrison was up there coaching up the extra point field goal, one thing that he would say if the defense or the block scheme was something that they didn't practice for or show on film yet, one thing he would always just be like is like, okay, like, well, don't be a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Play football. It's like, okay, you're in the overtake position, like, don't be a robot, right? Play host. So if your thing, like my thing has always been, hey, how you folks doing?
Right.
Like, you're never going to hear me say, thank you for choosing Taco Bell. How are you today? Like,
right.
No.
Right.
That's not how people talk.
Right.
Like,
right.
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 So
yeah, I think, and I love the same thing, and it's become a meme a little bit. I love that Chick-fil-A says my pleasure. I love that, but
that's cool.
it can be robotic,
Mm-hmm.
and it can become a meme.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you say you must specifically say, then it becomes robotic and it becomes a meme.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying it, if it becomes part of your, I'm not going to criticize you or fire you if, you said thank you to that person instead of my pleasure,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But let's just make it natural.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's the problem with scripts.
Yes.
But they have their place.
Mm-hmm. Know the rules before you break them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What else? Is that it?
Those are all my questions that I've been thinking about. I think those are all my questions that I've been thinking about. And I mean, I've been observing different teams. The past couple of weeks, I've been observing different teams. One of the things I always said to you, to anybody that worked for me, is I can go into the store and tell you almost immediately. I mean, it's somewhat instinctual. It may take me what the style of manager is, just by how their employees are. You can get a sense, can't you?
Yeah.
And granted, I have the experience of QSR, but if I can get that sense, your customers can get that sense.
Mm-hmm.
This just from being a customer, not just from being in the QSR industry, but before you even started in the QSR industry, you could walk into a store and say, boy, these people really hate their job. Boy,
Mm-hmm.
these people are treated like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, these people walk on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can walk into, I mean, you can get that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've been kind of honing that, or walking into restaurants and saying, these people like it here, even if they're only there just to make money. That balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very depressing to go into a store where you can just tell right away these people have not had an ounce of encouragement in the past
Yeah,
6 months.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if, I mean, you and I sense it because we're in the industry, been in the industry for a while, so we're looking at it with different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people in our industry need to realize that the customers are very sensitive to that. They can get that. They get that.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you been working and you've overheard or had a customer say to you, having a bad day?
Mm-hmm.
Everything okay with you? You having,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they're sensing something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think I was talking to a tropical smoothie franchisee yesterday, and I'm paraphrasing, but what she was trying to get across was a euphemism of what you and I have talked about, which is people work for a paycheck, but they die for recognition.
Yeah.
People want knowledge and they want to be acknowledged.
Right.
So go back to the shift lead. Hunter, I wasn't trained for this. Knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then walking into a store and seeing that there's no life. It's like these people have not been acknowledged in a long time.
Yeah.
These people died a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it will have an impact, franchisees. It will have an impact on your business. May not be overnight, but it will have an impact on the business.
Yeah.
It may be gradual, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and look at your numbers and say, wait a minute, 2 years ago, this store was pushing this much volume.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're only pushing this much volume. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, it's how you're not treating your employees. And I don't mean, by treating your employees, I don't mean pay or benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I gave them an all, a 50-cent an hour raise or something. That's not necessarily it.
People work for a paycheck.
Yeah.
They die for a position. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at your numbers and say, 2 years ago, this store was doing this and now it's only doing this. And your immediate thought is, you're not the problem, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the question that I have for myself, and this is maybe a good one to close on, as I'm getting closer to potentially becoming an above store leader,
Right.
The part that I'm not worried about, but I'm wondering how I'm going to do it, is that when you're an above store person, you don't just get to go into a store and just turn the switch yourself.
No.
Which is sort of the blessing that in the position that I'm in right now.
Right.
Just like, all right, deploy, herd.
Yeah.
Flip, right? Go in there. And so how do you maintain that level of influence and ability when it's not your hand on the wheel?
You pour into the person whose hands on the wheel it is, the restaurant manager.
Yeah.
Any position above restaurant manager is there to serve the restaurant manager, not the other way around. The restaurant manager is not there to make the area manager, the district manager look good. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Any position outside of the store, their sole function within the parameter of their position, if they're HR, if they're operations, if they're marketing, if they're whatever, serve the mission, but their role is to serve the restaurant manager. I've told you this 1,000 times, right? When I had multiple stores, who is the most important person in the store to me?
Your manager.
Right. Who's the most important person in the store to the manager?
The sandwich artist.
Who's the most important person to the sandwich artist?
The customer.
Right. And it's not, don't ever mix that up. Ever. The most important person to you as a district manager, as an area coach, as a senior district manager, the most important person to you in that store is the person that's right below you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are, if you're a senior district manager and you have 3 or 4 district managers under you, the most important person to you is the district manager.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those positions, their role is to serve the manager of the store.
Mm-hmm.
The front facing people, the customer facing people are the most important person to any business.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes franchisees, presidents of companies, vice presidents of companies get a little too full of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That the most important person is the customer facing employee.
Mm-hmm.
And every single business, because I've gotten this before. Well, what if we don't have customers? Every single business has a customer.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to figure out who the customer is.
And I think that's bringing this full circle. Part of the reason why I won't be able to attend that funeral is because going into a new store, the most important people to me
Yeah.
are the shift managers
Yeah.
in that store.
But you still have to find the balance, because you can burn yourself out quick if
Yeah.
you let, I burned myself out.
Mm-hmm.
I had, for the longest time, I had I was able to have the balance.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, I had the balance. And then the balance went away. And I burned myself out
Mm-hmm.
big time.
I can tell you, I got burnt out at the end of period 12. We're at the end of period 13. Tuesday is the end of period 13.
Mhm.
I got burnt out at the end of period 12. Could not wait to go on my 5-day vacation.
Mhm.
I could not wait.
Yeah.
Because this is probably going to be a different topic for a different episode. But when you work at a slow store, you don't have the labor to deploy, so you are the labor. And there was many nights where I made every single order.
Right. Yeah.
And when you do that, and again, we had things in the line, and I wanted that team to go perfect so they could get the incentive that I put out in front of them, and so I was going to do whatever it took for them to have that. But that also cost me a little bit of my sanity
Mhm.
towards the end. So yeah, you do have to have a balance, even if you how do I say this? I think if you're going to burn out, you have to have long gaps in between.
Right.
Because if you're constantly getting burnt out, then
Right.
that's like training. It's not going to end well.
Right.
Right. If I'm constantly overtraining, then I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to develop a malaise and a resentment towards life. Same thing with work. Right. So,
But I think that's a good topic for another
slow stores
show.
versus busy stores.
Well, slow stores versus busy stores, but in general, is just rest in the QSR industry. Rest. You've read my manuscript. I devote a whole big chapter about rest. Right.
And why do we make it so complicated?
Right.
It's in the book, the Bible.
Yeah.
Keep holy the Sabbath.
Yeah. You think God really needed to rest?
He knew we needed to.
He knew we needed to.
Sabbath
Right.
was made for man.
Right. Exactly. I say that, don't
Yeah.
I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not the other way around.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sabbath was made for man not for the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's funny that, yeah, on the 7th day he rested. God is omnipotent, all powerful, omniscious.
Mm-hmm.
You think the God of the universe needs to rest?
Mm-hmm.
No, he rested so that
He was modeling.
He was modeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important in any industry.
Yeah.
Well, in anything.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I talk about it a lot because I suffered from not resting.
That's one thing I'm still playing around with. And again, we have to talk about this on an entire episode. We can. But that's one thing that I'm playing around with, because I do feel like I have to justify my existence for being a little bit every day. It's like it's hard for me to come to take a complete. It's like it's hard for me to fall asleep at night.
Well, you've called me a couple of times, and I've asked you before. It's like you would say, "Oh, I'm taking Saturday off," and then, "Oh, great, good, he needs to," and then you'll call me, and it's a Saturday, and I'm saying, "What are you doing?" You go, "I'm at work," or "I'm driving home from work." It's Saturday, Hunter. It's your
Yeah.
day off,
Yeah.
and we can fall in. I mean, you know,
Sometimes there a decision to make last night? No, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's kind of sucks, but it's gonna be
no,
it's
that
gonna be a good story.
yesterday was a
It's gonna be a good story to tell.
yeah,
It's gonna be a good story.
Yeah, yesterday was a little bit different. That was, yeah, it's not like I'm taking this day off and no one interferes
yeah.
whatsoever. No, that's
Yeah.
not our industry,
Mhm.
but I'm going to take one day off. It may not be every Thursday I'm taking off or something like that,
Mhm.
but we have to allow ourselves to say it's okay to rest.
Yeah.
Because if I don't,
Then you're gonna be forced to.
yeah, then you'll be forced to.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
All set?
All set.
Let's see how this goes. Oh.